Well, hello everybody. How you doing? Dave Fennoy here, and it's Wednesday, and that, of course, Ask Dave Fennoy Anything, and this is our first Ask Dave Fennoy Anything of February 2019. And where did January go? It seems like it was just New Year's yesterday, and boing, we're into the shortest month, Black History Month, and just for as some of my black friends and I have been saying, well, Black History Month is always for us, but for our non-black friends, this is your opportunity to bone up on some of our history. Anyway, what's up, Scott Galloway? How you doing? Teresa, what's going on? Ron Everly, wow, Dahlia and Terry, Howard Hoffman. How you doing, Howard? Howard Hoffman, fabulous talent. He has a naturally humorous voice, and he was telling me about a nice gig that he's got. I'm not going to give more details than that, but it was just nice of you to get in touch, Howard, and we could talk about some things, or text back and forth about some things. Thomas, what's going on, man? Well, hey, Dahlia, Ryan, Ashley, Steve Bailey, great voice, Jeff Burns, Anthony David. Well, anyway, enough. I'll say some hellos again in a little bit. Now, when I posted today, thanks for the hearts. When I posted today, I talked about, I asked about social media. What do you think about social media and your voiceover career? Most of us are on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, could be other things, Instagram and so forth. How do you use that in your voiceover career? And what do you think the things are that you should and shouldn't talk about? We see people posting about jobs and politics and religion. Or should we just do friends and family and say nice things and avoid any controversy? What do you think? I'm going to share some of my ideas in a little bit, but what do you think about social media and how it should be used? Donovan, what's going on, man? Donovan has a line of voiceover T-shirts now that I'm going to be wearing. And Randy Morrison, of course, Connection Open. I'm going to be using that Connection Open with some people I'm working on their demos for, the video game demos for. And I'm looking forward to that. Gary Scales, Deb, how you doing? While you're getting some of your thoughts together and typing away there in the comment section, I had a really big audition yesterday. And, you may get them, you may not. This would be one of those life-changing things, maybe. I've had a number of life-changing auditions over my career, because careers go up, they go down, they go up, they go down. So word to the wise, always be looking for new work. Always be auditioning, always be putting yourself out there, because wonderful things come and they stay for a while and then they go away. But back to, I had this really good audition, and one of the things I tell students and other voiceover actors is, look, you got to do the audition and then let it go. But let's talk about a little bit before we've done the audition, because a number of times in my career, I think I've made the mistake of trying to do it the way I thought they wanted it done, as opposed to doing it the way Dave Fennoy would do it. And I know that's a thing with all of us. We all want the job, so we all want to please that person who's going to be doing the hiring. But the truth of the matter is that what they're looking for, sometimes they're not sure, which is why they're auditioning. Otherwise, they would just hire, voice A, voice B, or voice C. They're looking for something that perhaps they can't quite describe. Even if they do describe it, perhaps they think that's what they're looking for until they hear you, or hopefully me, and realize that, wow, that's what we were looking for. That's the element that was missing. And what is it that's different about you that you're going to turn their heads around? Well, after your skills are up, after you know how to handle copy, after you know how to touch your emotions and touch people here and here, it's going to be you. You are the secret sauce. So when those big auditions come, great. Find out what they've been doing. Figure out what it is you think they want to do, what the descriptions are. But then trust your instincts and give it to them the way you think it should be, the way you feel it. And I guarantee you're going to book more of those things than you thought, rather than trying to be a Morgan Freeman or a Don LaFontaine or Joe Cipriano or even a Dave Fennoy. All right, Thomas mentioned you always have great comments. Let's see what you say. I consider social media as a marketing spokes. Now, if only there was an app that would allow for postings to go across all of them. You have a presence on at any same time. However, some social media focus slightly on different areas due to the method of posting. Well, if you're on Instagram, you can post to Facebook and Twitter and a number of other things. And you can post videos and whatnot on Twitter. So there are, and I'm sure there's some others that will allow you to post across a number of platforms. Donovan, what does Donovan have to say here? For social media, I use it to network and connect with people that are in the shows that I do promos for. Tends to lead to more work. I stay away from political or more serious topics. I love what you have to say. One of the areas I think is probably very good for voice talent in building your career and maintaining your career is LinkedIn. You could add a little bit of Facebook in there, connecting with the people that you've been working with, so that you develop that relationship where they continue to work with you. It's very different now than it used to be. Most of us have home studios, and even if we're connecting with somebody that we don't see, we just hear them, there's something about seeing that person. There's something about having some kind of connection outside of just the job. And I don't mean you have to go to dinner with them, but just a connection outside the job, a social media connection that's friendly and light, that I think will build work. Donovan also mentioned that he tends to stay away from political or more serious topics. I can't say that. If you are on my page, you know how I feel about things. And I've been told from time to time, well, that's going to keep you from getting some work, and that's probably true. But by the same token, I actually believe that there's some work that may come your way because you believe in the same things that some other people believe. So whether you're leaning left or leaning right, I don't necessarily recommend it, especially early in your career. But I think you will make as many enemies as you make friends. And I think people tend to respect you when you are strong enough in your beliefs and confident enough in your beliefs to say what you believe. That said, don't go too crazy with your language. I wouldn't be calling people names, that kind of thing. But you can state what you believe, I believe. Always be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. That's what, Donovan, thank you very much. Hey, Randy. Randy E. Agubar, student of mine from several years ago. And Randy, I keep watching your success as an actor, and it's inspiring. Thambisa, what's going on? And who else? Enrique Santana, can you please say, come with me, Clementine and Enrique? Okay, usually don't do that. Come with me, Clementine and Enrique. Please, come with me. All right. Donovan says again, everyone has a voice, microphone, equipment, etc., but no one else has you. So true, so true, so true. Lori Katz, how you doing? Tanisha V. Moore, hello. an app called Hootsuite. I think Hootsuite, as I recall, I'm not on it, so I just remember reading something about it. I think it allows you to post to a lot of different social media platforms. And one of the things we have to do when we're posting to social media about things that we're doing, about our career, you want to save time. And anything that allows you to do it one time, but it shows up in 5, 6, 10, 12, a zillion places, better. So let me ask you this. How about, what do you think about posting the jobs that you have booked? I have some thoughts, and I'll share them with you in a little bit, but what do you think about when you're going through your page, your news feed, and this person has posted about this job and this person has posted about that job? And well, how do you feel about that? Hey, Pamela. And oh, Emma O'Neill. Let's see. I use LinkedIn for work and Facebook for more social connections, but I've actually gotten more work through Facebook connections than any other platform. Interesting. And if you have a minute, Emma, you could expound on that a little bit. Why do you think that is? What is it that you're doing differently, or what is different about Facebook that more work comes to you that way? And Deb Sommerfeld, there's a social media platform that will post your posts at certain times and at different times of the day, especially with the rest of the times of the world. Hootsuite is good for that. Oh, yeah. Okay. Thanks. You know, this is one of the best things I'm discovering about doing this every Wednesday is how much information is being shared by you guys. I mean, it's Ask Dave, Fennoy, anything, but we're getting a lot of great answers from you. Speaking of which, I'm a believer in networking. I'm a believer in being a part of voiceover social groups, networking groups. I really believe in having voiceover workout groups where you get together every week or every couple of weeks, even if it's just once a month, and critique one another reading copy. I've been doing that since very early in my career, and the people who join those groups work. We have, there's great success in this business, the Don LaFontaines of the world, and everything else below that. And I don't think we always need to measure success by, reaching, that six figure, you got to be making $500,000 a year. It's nice when you do, I'll tell you. But that's not for everybody. Not everybody's career is going to do that. Doesn't mean you're not being successful. Be hard to hit that $500,000 doing audiobooks, I think, and some other things. But if you're making a good living and you're enjoying your life doing what you like to do, and you're paying your bills, you got a roof over your head, you're eating well, your kids are being educated, you can afford your health care, that's okay. And great to see you. Oh, you're welcome, Enrique. You're welcome. Hopefully you've gotten permission from the client before posting. Very good idea. Stefan just mentioned social media and gigs. I'm going to expand that to auditions. Don't post about auditions that you are doing exactly what they are. Maybe you might post something like, oh, I've got this big audition. I'm so excited. I hope I get it. But don't post exactly what it is. And certainly not in the world of video games. You probably would have had to sign an NDA before they even allowed you to submit your audition on many games. And they're very, very serious about it. People's careers have been ruined because they did not pay attention and pull the trigger too soon. They don't talk about the job until they tell you you can talk about the job. Don't if they give you a copy of the job, perhaps it's radio or television, don't post that before it airs. They'll be very upset. Generally, they won't even give it to you before it airs. But I've known people who have gotten it. Oh, we're at the session. They did a rough mix and gave it to them, and then problems ensued when those things showed up. Gerald Griffith, and of course, you guys know VO Atlanta's coming up. Unfortunately, I won't be there this year. But if you're going to do a voiceover convention, VoiceOver Atlanta is definitely one to do. My two favorite, VoiceOver Atlanta, and that's VoiceOver. Both very good and both very different. And the thing I like about VoiceOver Atlanta, more days, more opportunities to spend with the people you want to hang out with, both socially and for information. They have X sessions, which are great. And ordinarily I'd be there doing a video game. My good buddy Zach Hanks will be there this year, and Zach is a great guy. We like to talk. We'll get very esoteric talking about voiceover acting for video games. So he's a good guy to know there. Yeah, almost every audition is confidential. As a matter of fact, just think of them as confidential. It's good to see and hear work others are booking, but a little annoying when folks do it and sell their training services. Let me read that. Van Rosebro, it's good to hear the work that others are booking, but a little annoying when folks only do it to sell their training courses. I bet there's some people doing that. I'm not exactly sure who I've seen do that. I haven't quite seen it. And I do think it's good to sometimes post some of the work you're doing, and then we're getting into talking about, what kind of attitude do you have, as well as the person posting. One of the things I like about the voiceover community, people are very warm and sharing and caring with one another. We tend to be each other's cheerleaders, and that's a wonderful thing. I have seen from time to time people, I think, overpost about the gigs they're doing. A friend of mine once posted checks because he was, so excited. He was fairly new and didn't get that. That's just a little too much. I wouldn't post about every job. Well, if I posted about every job, I'd be doing some postings every day about this, that, and the other. And a lot of other people out here who you've seen post would be doing the same thing. And I if you want people to keep cheering for you, you can't just rub it in their face. People have ups and downs. People sometimes feel like they're not getting the push that they want. And people can be jealous. And not that they should, but you got to keep that in mind. When I see friends of mine or students of mine who are booking jobs now, it just makes me happy. I am glad for them. There are a lot of people like myself, black guys who are coming up in this business who along the way let me know that I was a role model for them, an inspiration, nothing I ever expected to be. And I can't help but cheer for them. I can't help but want to see them do well. Now, to everybody else that isn't a black male, does that mean I don't cheer for you? No, of course not. But sometimes, there are some women who have some women heroes. They may have some male heroes too, but those women heroes, those women who have broken some barriers, or probably touched them a little deeper. And I think that the fact that I've been doing this for 30 years and have had a modicum of success lets some people like me know that they can do it. I'll leave it at that. It's such a wonderful community, and I cannot thank you, even yourself, Dave, for what you've done to inspire me. Oh, you're very welcome. Is there any voiceover going on in Las Vegas? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And there's a young lady, Melissa Moats, She has the voiceover. Oh, gosh, I should know this off the top of my head. But she has a very good training center there, Melissa Moats. You can find her on Facebook, and once a year I go up and teach, and some very good talent there. Donovan, I only post about big, cool gigs that I think can help expose or display my skill set, and not a bad idea, because a lot of this is how we, show ourselves off. It's a little bit of marketing. Let's see. I still consider Dave my sensei for life. Oh, thank you, Thomas. That's kind. Thambisa, I also usually keep my accolades to bios on social media or the intro spiel for panels and events and diverse voices, since we all spend money. Amen. Yes, we do. A couple other things I wanted to talk about. I brought up important auditions. When I'm teaching, I always tell students, listen, do your audition, then forget about it. But sometimes it's difficult to forget about. Sometimes you have that life-changing network promo, star character in cartoon series or video game, long-term series on narration on National Geographic, those kinds of things which would add thousands and thousands of dollars and much exposure to you. How do you not wonder and think and call your agent anything? Because although sometimes you audition today and the gig comes tomorrow, very often you audition today and it's another 2 or 3 days, another week, even a month, maybe a callback or two before what it is you want comes through. How do you maintain your sanity? You let go as much as you can, and you keep doing your other work. You keep doing your other auditions, and know that what's yours is going to be yours. As long as you show up doing the best work you can do, what's yours is going to come to you. I promise you that. Let's see. Deb, I'm a huge research nerd, which is how I like to spend my pastime. The VO community itself is so welcoming, and was so glad, to get to go to That's Voiceover. Yeah, it's a good one to go to. Sage advice on auditions. Wondering can drive you crazy. Oh, it sure can. But you have to let it go. I'll bring something else up. Has anybody here had a low spell, a lull, a dip in your work? Yeah. It happens. And you can, if it lasts too long, if nobody's called you for a week, okay, big deal. But if a month or two has gone by, and maybe I had this happen to me when the economy crashed in '08, I had 2 huge clients that it was everyday work, or at least every monthly work, and it was like having 2 jobs that were paying me. Just those 2 clients. And they both went out of business at the same time. And one went out of business owing me a lot of money. And they declared bankruptcy, and I didn't get that money. That can happen. And that was what taught me to, always be looking for new work. Because before then, when a big client went away, another big client would show up and replace it. Always be looking for new business, and don't sell yourself short by thinking, well, I'm this kind of voice. I can't do promos or video games or narration or whatever it is. I look back at the landscape of TV promo, and what you hear now as opposed to what you heard 15, 20 years ago. Especially when you're looking at the number of different kinds of stations that we have. When I was a kid, it was 3 networks, then 4. then some cable, and now we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of channels. We have lots of these lifestyle channels that are catering to a particular group, and that means they need a particular voice that particular group will relate to. So there's all kinds of work out there. I was listening to some demos somebody else had produced, and I heard one from a young lady. She had this little voice that everybody would put her into animation, and I'm sure she was doing animation. But someone had done for her, as a matter of fact, Bill DeWeese, I'll give him his name, had done for her a promo demo, and it was amazing. And for children's programming, I could just imagine her killing it. So whatever it is you're doing, just open up your mind to, I could do that too. Don't tell yourself no. And one of the best things about opening yourself up like that is when you have a lull in this area, you have something else you can do in another area. Let's see. Yes, and when the client doesn't use you for a spell, yeah, that happens too. I had a client, a casino. I had a client I'd been working with for years, and I'm working with the production company, and the producer, called my agent and said, hey, the owner told the producer that, yeah, we've been hearing his voice for a long time. Let's just try something else. And, of course, I didn't want to see that money go, but I also understand, what comes is going to go. And somebody had it before you, you're going to have it, and then somebody will have it after you. So, it's just, okay. A month later, they came back because they couldn't find what they were looking for outside of Dave Fennoy. Yeah. Thank you. Craig Young, I moved countries recently, and as such, there's been a drop-off in work from Dubai to Canada. Wow. How was work in Dubai? You're going to have to tell us more. From Dubai to Canada, the market is quite different. Still getting my home studio set up, but not sure how to break into this market. My question would be, I can't speak too much on the Canadian market, or as we Americans call it, America Light. But that's a joke. It's a joke. I'd like to know what the Dubai market was. What was that like? How did you get work there? What was the pay compared to the pay here? If you could expound on that a little bit, Craig, I bet a lot of people would love that. And Michael Sessions, marketing is the harder part of this business. I agree. I'm not a salesman. I'm an artist. And I think that has the toughest part for me is feeling okay selling myself. I don't want to be the, hey, how are you? Come get this thing. It's wonderful. There's a certain part of a depth of marketing that feels like that to me, but it must be done. And the truth of the matter is we all buy products that are marketed to us. We don't buy products that aren't marketed to us. Being in the business partially of commercials, I used to say getting people to buy stuff they don't need and watch stuff they don't need to watch. You have to understand that if you have a good product, if nobody knows about it, so what? So if you have a good product, let the world know, and they'll beat a path to you. Also a shift from announcery to conversational styling in the promo space. Exactly. Especially in comedy. I'm sure that it's helped me because the sweet spot for my work is right in between those styles. And that was always a challenge for me because I came out of radio and I had this and I was just right there all the time. How you doing? I'm Dave. And that's not what the market has been looking for. Assad Shams. Hi, Dave. Should do one fan dub or fan project just to add to their voiceover resume? Should one do fan dub or fan projects just to add to their voiceover resume? It's kind of up to you. By that, I'm explain exactly what fan dub and fan projects are, because I have an idea, but I'm not sure I know exactly what you mean. So, Assad, if you could enlighten us a little bit, that would help me with my answer. John Malone, great voice. What's going on, man? Thomas, marketing has to be an everyday thing these days. Yeah, it has to be part of what you do. And the truth be told, although I say I'm not comfortable with it, and you know what? Where I wasn't the most comfortable was in marketing my teaching. I'm doing it, and I'm going to do it. But I always want to over-deliver in the teaching department. And there's certain labels that I don't want to give myself because I was annoyed with other people, I'm the guru of voiceover. No. Just be honest and tell people what you could do it. And at the same time, we got to come up with a label, don't we? I'm going to have to work on that myself. I'm talking to myself here. I've got crazy. Fan projects, My Little Pony work. Okay. So something that you enjoy doing and then doing a project that is an homage to that. Okay. If it's not costing you anything, okay. I think any work that you do that you love is going to help you some way. You can't always know if I do ABC, it's going to deliver XYZ. I was having a conversation last night with a friend of mine about the things you do. You don't always know how the good is going to come to you. Just know that it's going to come. You do the right thing, the good is going to come. Oh, yeah. Assad. Dubai market is sadly kind of biased, if I would say. They would prefer someone who looks English or American. Twice I auditioned for roles where I heard things like, oh, wow, you have a good voice, but you aren't American, so you won't have the native touch. I don't know if that's bias or something, but it's kind of hits hard. The accent thing, if that's what you're talking about, I think it is, has changed a lot over the years. There's still not as much work, I would say, for some accents, but we hear lots of English accents, lots of Australian accents, from time to time, island accents, definitely African accents in cartoons and video games. But it's changing. We are hearing more and more and more accents all the time. I know some of you in your auditions have seen auditions that are asking for a world voice. And that world voice is that nondescript accent that could be from a number of different places. It's not English, it's not French, it's not Italian, it's not American. It's something else. Sometimes we pass the mid-Atlantic American accent, which is the phony English accent, off for world voice. The Indian accent sometimes is world voice. And we have to live. We live in this whole world. And as the world changes and becomes smaller and more people are traveling more places, and more voices from this place and that place or every place, the more those world voices are going to be a thing. So what I would say to you, Assad, keep knocking on the doors. Keep showing up. Keep doing those auditions. I also have a belief that sometimes when you're auditioning in a particular market, it just takes a little while before enough people hear you enough on enough auditions that they get your voice. It's kind of like that song that was playing on the radio, and the first time you heard it, you hated it or just didn't care. And then a few days later, you're tapping your toe and you're singing along because it has become familiar and a part of the soundtrack of what you do. Monica, what's your question? I'm not a voice actor, but the message is about challenges of marketing and feeling comfortable selling yourself are spot on for me. Yeah. And a lot of us are that way. A lot of us are, we lean more into the art than into the business part. I've been very fortunate. I've had great agents and managers, but I have to do some marketing myself. Which is true. And by the way, I'm going to be marketing some teaching that I've done. Starting in a couple of weeks, we'll have a visit from my friend Fred Gleek, and we'll be marketing some of my programs. Gentlemen, are there circumstances under which you would watermark an audition to prevent unauthorized use? Or should you just pass on auditions if you're skeptical about the source? That's a very good question. I'm not going to say there's a definite do or don't. I would never watermark an audition. The reason I wouldn't is because I'm telling the client I don't trust him. And if I feel like I can't trust him, there's no point in me doing the audition. That's not to say that people who don't watermark sometimes get burned, because there are some people out there that their morals and scruples aren't what yours may be. But I don't. I'd rather trust them. We'll have a contract, but I'd rather contract when we're working. But I'd rather trust them that it's not going to get used. Plus, the world is smaller now. It's harder for them to steal your work, especially if they're going to use it for any particular length of time. If it's a short amount of time, hey, maybe they get away with it. If it's just a corporate nair and it's only showing up in their company, maybe they get away with it. But if it's a commercial that's running, you've got a friend almost everywhere in the United States. It's, oh, yeah, John, I heard you on this such and such. And you go, what? I didn't get that. And you can have recourse in. It's a pain in the butt to track it down, but I don't watermark. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, or it's not for me. The message for me it sends is, I don't trust you. Part of the problem I had occasionally, still have, this is Thomas, with marketing yourself, is that little voice in the back of your head that says you are not worth that much. So the question is how you train yourself to believe you are worth more without getting obnoxious or sending false signals to customers. Couple things. One, go to the union guide for jobs. Read through that a little bit every day for a while until you get some of those figures in your head. I understand that it's the old thing when you were a musician and come play in your bar because think of the exposure you'll get. And a lot of times you were tempted until, you'd been told that 10th, 100th, 1000th time. And you realize you couldn't go in the restaurant and say, well, listen, I want you to prepare a meal for me and set it here. I'm going to eat it. And if I really like it, I'll come back to your restaurant. And furthermore, I'll put it on social media and I'll tell people about it. Think of the exposure you'll get. As long as we are in a world where we are trading with one another goods, services for money, know your worth. Know what these jobs pay at the union level and use that as a benchmark. Now, maybe if you're not union, maybe you're charging a little bit less, but don't sell yourself so short that, they're laughing at you behind your back because, we would have paid this other guy $350, but this guy will come in for 50. Oh, we made it. Because you sell yourself short and you sell the rest of us short. And I think it would be wonderful if not only Do we have a union that we pay dues into that makes sure we get paid the right amount of money and puts money away for our pensions and allows us to have affordable health care? But that all of us could get a good understanding of what we're willing to take for jobs. And yeah, I know there are going to be some Fiverr folks that are doing it for next to nothing. But if we all keep our standards high, and the reason we don't is because we're so happy to get the work. We think it's easy. Try teaching some people who've never done this before. One of the things that will teach you how much talent you have is working with people who are trying to learn to do what you do. And if you're a beginner and you're sitting in a class with me or some of the other very fine teachers for promos or narration or commercials, whatever the genre is, and you realize how easy people who are really good at this are, and you realize how far you have to go. Doesn't mean that you don't start working until you're at this particular level. But it shows you how much room from this working level to just mastery. Okay. And Thomas, you're worth it, man. You're worth it. Bob Bergen. Oh, Bob, I love you so much. Bob Bergen, one of our best talents, and just a hell of a guy, and proud to call him friend, and the voice of Porky Pig. Glad to know you're there, Bob, even if you just stopped in for a minute. DK Voices, great question, John. Bob, I'm at a restaurant waiting to be seated. Sound down, just wanted to say hi, Dave. There you go. Yosef, what's up? Alita, how you doing? Craig Young, Dubai was interesting. It is kind of old school in its marketing landscape. So radio with a lot of hard sell pitchmen stuff and quite partial to an English accent. Being Jamaican with what I would call a neutral accent, I ended up doing a lot of characters. There's a lot of work, but it again tends to be quite old school, not conversational. The pay can be decent, but the lower end is lower than the other places I've worked. Overseas voices tend to make more than locally based voices, but the market is in great need for a variety of voices. The local market is small, and overseas voices are, as mentioned, more costly. Excuse me. One of the things there that I see in what Craig wrote is there's probably some room for work in Dubai for people in other places on the planet. The international market has gotten better, and I think is going to continue to get better. And the world is getting smaller and smaller thanks to the internet, thanks to jets, and how many people live in so many different places. And English is pretty much the language of the world. So if you're an English speaker, you might want to consider doing some marketing in Dubai. Without that little voice that's saying, oh, I'm not going to get anything. Oh, is it going to be worth it? Check it out. All you've got to lose is some time and effort, and you don't know what you have to gain. Alita. Knowing what you're worth. I'm sharing that with my arts high school students tomorrow. And we do. And part of knowing what you're worth is not just your ego. It's knowing what people are being paid for the services that they and you are rendering. How much are people getting paid for audiobooks? And for e-learning or corporate NAIR? Are they getting paid by the word? How much by the word? Are they getting paid by the finished hour? And how much by the finished hour? What's the medium range? What's the top range? What's the bottom range? It's not just your ego and how good you feel about yourself and emotionally. Oh gosh, I'm so happy to do the job. I do it for free. I just don't know, so maybe I shouldn't charge so much. Find out what the market is bearing, and be in that range. Be in that range. Hey, Tamiko. Dave, what's up, man? Dave Weiss. That's so important, especially with art services and voiceover services. Absolutely. Keep standards high. Arturo, best live online voiceover presentation on Facebook. Thanks, Dan. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. As a VO, I look forward to it every week. Well, you know what? That's high praise and much appreciated, and exactly what I want this to be. One of the things when I was getting my career started, I paid some money for classes, just like you're paying some money for classes and private coaching. And the people who take classes and do private coaching are the people who are going to work. But a lot of voiceover people open their information brain vaults to share information with me. The late, great Don LaFontaine, who I'm proud to have had as a friend, took numerous people in his limo when he was going from job to job in a limo. Come ride with me for the day. Showing you what he does, how he does it. Don, we were on union panels together negotiating for TV promos. He didn't have to be there, but he was. And, of course, you could not go to dinner with the guy without him picking up the check. I don't care how many people were there. Demo question. My current character demo is made of actual commission projects, but I get the impression I should have a tailor a demo of material that is made for selling my voice. Actual work isn't the point. True? Not necessarily. And you offer an interesting thought that I've had. My video game demo is very good. It's all from work I've done. And I have other demos all from work I've done. But sometimes you want to show off that you can do something else. And I think it's quite reasonable to have that demo and maybe produce another one that gives you an opportunity to show off some of the kinds of work that you'd like to do that nobody so far is hiring you for. I think that makes a lot of sense with narration, with commercial, with video games and animation. People tend to pigeonhole you in a particular area. So they may decide that the business may decide, oh yeah, we like this guy for that voice. We like this girl for this voice. Meanwhile, you can do 5 or 10 other things wonderfully, but nobody's giving you that opportunity. Well, put together a demo that demonstrates that. And it doesn't even have to be a full 60-second demo. You could have on your website a few, 6 and 10-second demos that show off those things that you'd like to show off. And then, you can direct people to those, and you can, send them to the kinds of clients you'd like to be working for. We're back to marketing, aren't we? DK Voices, if you create your own script for a project, do you copyright it as well? When you say for a project, you mean your demos? No. You're probably not copywriting commercial copy either. So I guess in some cases, perhaps you would. But I think in most cases, you would not be worried about copywriting what you're doing, especially for your demos. Chris McCloy, hey Dave, how you doing? What's up? John Taylor, what's going on, Johnny T? Haven't seen you in a while, man. You don't come by no more. What's happening? You still doing the radio gig? What else did I want to talk about today? Well, Gerald Griffith popped by, and that gave me an opportunity to talk about conventions and networking, which you should always do. And I think we're at a point of about wrapping this up today. So yeah, the first Wednesday in February 2019. Ask Dave Fennoy anything. Glad you stopped by. Thank you so much. Good to hear from so many friends. Hey, Betsy, how you doing? Michael Scott, Austin, everybody that stopped by, thank you. And we'll be doing this again next Wednesday. And by the way, if you have a question that didn't get answered, you can personal message me. And I'll be happy to answer it then or save it for next Wednesday so I have something to start with before the questions start coming in. And interested in private coaching or you have a group in a particular town you'd like to get together for a class with me, you can go to my website, davefennoy.com, click on the Study VO tab at the top, and get yourself going. Anyway, all the best. Happy February. Oh, wow. Will it be, what's next week? It'll be 7 days from now. The 14th. It'll be that Thursday. So I'll save the Happy Valentine's for next time. All the best. See ya.